This inspiring story proves that intelligence can triumph over strength, and sometimes, laziness leads to creative genius. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a boy named Carl. He lived with his parents in a little house on the outskirts of town. Carl was very lazy. Every day, he helped his father in the fields, but his only task was to chase away birds that tried to eat their rice crops. While most people used sticks or slingshots to scare the birds, Carl didn't want to move too much. So, he set up wooden poles around the field and connected them with ropes. This way, he could frighten the birds without standing up. He could simply lie down and rest. His father worried about Carl's laziness and often thought, if I fall ill, how will Carl manage everything? But since Carl always completed his work, his father never scolded him. One summer, during a long dry season, Carl's father became very sick. Carl had to take care of the entire field alone. He tried his best, but he wasn't used to hard labor. After a few weeks, the crops began to wither due to a lack of water, and Carl couldn't save them. That night, he sat outside under the stars, feeling useless and disappointed. Why didn't I ever put in more effort? Now my family's only hope is gone, he thought. The next morning, he heard people talking in the village. Curious, Carl went to see what was happening. A soldier had arrived to announce a grand competition at the king's palace, with a chest of gold as the prize. Carl thought this could save my family. Without hesitation, he declared that he would enter. The villagers laughed. How could someone as lazy as Carl compete against the strongest people from all over the kingdom? But Carl didn't care. He had 3 days to reach the palace, so he left immediately. His parents didn't believe he would win, but they hoped this experience would teach him the value of hard work. After 3 days, the competition began. The participants gathered near a large lake. Many of them were strong and athletic, which made Carl nervous. How can I possibly beat them? He wondered. Then, the rules were announced. They had to cross the lake, and the first 3 to finish would advance to the next round. The countdown began. 3. Everyone jumped into the water and started swimming. Carl, however, stayed behind. There's no way I can win by swimming, he thought. Suddenly, an idea struck him. He ran into the nearby forest, found some broken branches, and built a small raft. Using another piece of wood as a paddle, he realized, this is a race to cross the lake, not just a swimming race. I may not be strong, but I can be clever. While the others grew exhausted from swimming, Carl paddled steadily across the water. In the end, he finished third and qualified for the next round, alongside 2 very strong competitors. The final challenge took place the next day. Each contestant was given a massive wooden block and had to push it 1 kilometer to the finish line. Behind them was a collection of tools. They could choose only one to assist them. The first contestant quickly grabbed a rope and started pulling the block. The second chose a wooden plank to use as a lever. Carl, however, didn't rush. He examined the tools carefully. I can't rely on strength alone. I need to outthink them. After some thought, Carl picked up a small knife. The audience was puzzled. How can a knife help him move such a large block? They wondered. But instead of pushing, Carl began carving. He carefully shaped the block into a round ball. An hour later, Carl finished his work. Now, instead of dragging a heavy block, he had a rolling wooden sphere. With little effort, he pushed the ball forward while the other contestants struggled. He caught up quickly, then passed them. Using all his determination, Carl was the first to cross the finish line. The crowd erupted in cheers. No one had expected the lazy boy to win. The audience and the judges were amazed. The king himself stood up to congratulate Carl. Carl won the competition and received the chest of gold. His family's future was saved. Carl learned that being smart and hardworking was more valuable than laziness. This story teaches us that laziness doesn't mean lack of intelligence. However, to achieve great things, one must find a strong motivation, just like Carl's love for his family. So, if you ever feel lazy, think about what truly matters to you. Whether it's your family, your dreams, or proving others wrong, A meaningful goal can inspire you to give your best.